Hello, Facebook fans and YouTube fans of DX Engineering and Field Day. It's time for the weekend special. This is 20 Zulu on June 24th, 2022. And welcome to the weekend special. And we have a special guest. It's Tom, WB8LCD. And Tom is the section manager of the great state of Ohio. Hello, Tom.
Hi, Tim. Pleased to be here with you, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you.
Yeah, it is great to have you on, Tom. You're a longtime ham, and of course, you're also one of the key members of the Portage County Amateur Radio Service, the club that was Club of the Year here a few years ago. And now you're section manager of Ohio. What are you going to be doing for Field Day?
I'm going to be with my butt in the seat of the car, beating tracks all over the state. I'm not going to put quite as many miles on as I did last year, just because of the price of gas. But I will be pretty much across the entire state.
And how many Field Day sites do you think you're going to visit?
I'm probably going to be somewhere between 10 and 12. Now, when I took over for Scott, he told me that the key to it is to get in and get out, but I like to yak too much with people, so I can't do that.
Well, that's good. You know, visiting Field Day sites as the ARRL section manager, I mean, it's spectacular. And I know whenever we've had our section manager here in Western PA or even our division director visit, it's really been good. So those 10 or 12 sites are really special. And there's a lot going on in the Ohio section, Tom. And I want to call attention to you have this beautiful Ohio section part of the ARRL.org website. And let me know when you see that.
It's there.
Okay, it's up, and of course you see Tom Slide, WB8LCD, as the section manager. And then if we go here, look at this Field Day resolution, and look at this. The state of Ohio has proclaimed that Amateur Radio Operators Appreciation Days for the 25th day of June 2022. How did this all happen?
Well, it's been done almost forever, I think, in the state of Ohio, anyhow. And every year, someone from the Ohio section, in the last few years, it's been Bob Winston, W2THU, who has connections with the Ohio legislature, and they keep it in the forefront of both the legislature and the governor, that amateur radio is out here, and we're here to serve the citizens of Ohio.
And at 28,000 licensed amateur radio operators in Ohio, that's an incredible number, Tom.
It's a great number, and as we were chatting earlier, we are the fifth largest state by population of amateur radio operators in the country. And we're also the largest section in the ARRL.
Yeah, in terms of members, it's just incredible. And this is a great tribute to you and to W2THU and the rest of all the things that are going on in the Ohio section. And I know, you can go in here to find Ohio Ham Fests. And, I love a good ham fest. Look at all these activities, all these ham fests that are going on in Ohio. And
Ohio's got a good number of ham fests, and we've already had a pretty good number this spring. And I would say that this spring it really took off again, and really felt like we're getting back to normal, and that's a good thing.
Well, you have a great section newsletter here on the web, and people can go to it. It's very easy, ARRL-ohio.org, and you can get to Tom Sly's page. And let's see what we've got going on in the chat room here. We've got Whiskey Juliet 3 United is on. WA4 Mike Oscar Mike is on from Kentucky. And our friend Joe, K0NEB, he's going to be at the Kilo Zero Kilo Kilo Victor Lincoln Amateur Radio Club Field Day site in Nebraska. You know, Tom, you don't work a lot of stations in Nebraska. That's a fairly rare state.
Sometimes it can be.
Yeah, and let's see, we've got in Fremont, California, Kilo Kilo 6 India Papa Radio. From over in Denmark, Oscar Zulu 1 Delta Whiskey X-Ray. And there are more hams here in the Netherlands as we have hams. There are more here. So it may be that there are more in Ohio than in Papa Alpha. So that's from Papa Echo 2 Kilo. And let's see, we'll be Kilo Papa 4 Quebec, Victor Quebec. Is going to be operating field day, I think. Whiskey Papa 4 Sierra Kilo Golf. And let's see. So Ricardo, Kilo Victor 4 Oscar Papa in Florida, he's going to participate in field day from home. And from England, we've got Mike 0 Delta Whiskey Germany. Tom, are you going to make any QSOs from any of the field day sites?
I doubt I'll be making QSOs from the sites other than maybe a 2-meter contact on my way in. Usually I don't want to upset the operators that are already there and operating and making things happen. So I'll usually just come by and say hello and meet and greet with everybody who is not on the air, because getting those points is important to most of the operators and most of the clubs.
Well, it is important, but obviously this is an emergency exercise too, and we want to make sure that generators work and temporary antennas work. And so, you know, tell me about some of the things that you might see on field day.
Well, I could tell you a couple things that I saw last year, and the first thing that I'll comment is that all over the state of Ohio, I met with just a whole bunch of great people. Was welcomed everywhere I went as my first year as section manager, and that was a great feeling. And I saw some setups at all kinds of different places, mostly public places, state parks and things like that. Probably the one that over in Western Ohio, and I forget exactly which site it was, but there was a 90-year-old ham who had a pickup truck that had a pickup truck mounted slingshot that had a rubber band on it that was probably about 7 feet long end to end. And they said they could get antennas 50, 60 feet up in the air with that unit. So that was impressive.
Well, you know, you always look for those things, and of course you look for youth that are involved in field day too, Tom, right?
Yeah, and every field day site you go to, there's usually one or two, or maybe a handful that are there, and we just need to encourage the heck out of that to get them to come out and see how much fun we're having, and hopefully they can have that much fun with us too.
You know, last year over 27,000 hams were active in field day. I mean, this is the single biggest deal here in the USA, and getting people on the air and having fun. And what about the chances for public relations and talking to newspapers, etc.?
Well, I'm glad you said that, because there are some clubs that do that really fine, do a really good job at that. Highland Amateur Radio Association down in southeastern Ohio, which was this year's Club of the Year at Hamvention, they do an excellent job of getting the word out. And I was sent a link just this morning to the newspaper article that they have talking about where their club's going to be, and everybody's invited to come out. And, they get a lot of good press, and this is a great opportunity for us. And I want to toss one thing out here. You know, ham radio is kind of a mystery to a lot of people. It used to be real well known, and now there's people that their only thought is, gee, do they still do that? And as you said, this is one of the biggest operating events in North America every year. And tonight is the night before it happens. If 27,000 people would all make one phone call, just make one phone call to someone you know who isn't a ham and maybe isn't really aware of what ham radio is about, just make that phone call, ask them to come out to your field day site, tell them it's open for 24 hours. Just put that invitation out there. They could say yes, they could say no. It really doesn't matter. But we would have had 27,000 personal contacts with someone to introduce them to what amateur radio was. And at the same time, if even a small number of people come out, just from one phone call from each amateur radio operator that's going to be doing field day, it could be huge. It could make a big difference. And if hams in every state do that, we'll start to become a little bit more known.
Well, Tom, let me know when you see the ARRL website up.
It's there.
Okay, good. So we're going to talk a little bit about the field day locator, because this is really a great feature of the ARRL website. And we were looking in at field day locations here, trying to find Kate BF on Tuesday. And I want to make sure that we can go up and find Kate BF right here in Garrettsville, right?
That's them.
And so tell me a little bit about PCARS, the Portage County Amateur Radio Service.
Well, back in 2006, we were a brand new club, and we had our first field day event. At that point in time, it was held at Ravenna City Park, and we had a great time. It was just one of the best things that we could have done as a club. Since then, more people have come in, different people have come in. I can say that because of some of the people that came in, our attitudes towards the contest side of field day has been pumped up quite a bit, and getting those big scores and being kind of at the top of the list usually, that makes you feel pretty good as a club. We went a few years ago. We changed to the Garrettsville site because being in a city, there's just a lot of man-made noise in the background. Getting out into the countryside, a lot of that is eliminated. So that's helped us increase our scores and do a little bit better job. And I think for everyone going out to field day, use it as a learning experience, because there's something you can learn about amateur radio just by being on the field day site. If you've never worked digital, hopefully there's someone at your site doing that. If you've never had a chance to even listen to CW, go check out what your CW operators are doing, because it's phenomenal the way they operate contests and how fast they can make QSOs go. If you're trying to optimize your field day site and you want to minimize QRM between stations, that has a lot to do with the types of antennas that you set up and the way you configure in your 1,000-foot circle. Learn those things before you go out there. Don't just go out and set up a bunch of stuff and then say, rats, this didn't work, and then go home and come back next year and do the same thing. Look at what you did, learn from it, and make the best of it so you can improve your score for next year.
You know what? One of the things that I really think is key to field day is trying new things, like satellite QSOs, natural power QSOs, maybe QRP, maybe a different kind of antenna. So experimenting is really at the heart of amateur radio as a hobby. And it's so good to hear, Tom, that PCARS is leading the way and trying to get a lot of people involved, making QSOs and having a good time. We also have Victor Echo 6 Golf, Japan Mike, and John in Alberta. He's hoping to do something for field day in Canada. And my good friend Jeff Tobin, Kilo Charlie 3, November Juliet Echo, and he is very excited. And Jeff and I used to work together at an AM broadcast station back in the 70s, and I got to see Jeff down at Hamvention this year. Kilo 8, Charlie Victor Mike. Charles is on, and Papa Tango 2, India Charlie from the Papa Yankee 0 Foxtrot contest team. And of course, our good friend Dino, Kilo Lima 0 Sierra. Good luck to all, and stay safe on field day. And that's a big thing, Tom, is making sure that nobody gets hurt on field day. That safety officer is so important.
I'm glad that the ARRL added that to the list of positions that really count, and hopefully you have safety officers that are really taking the position seriously in how they do it, because amateur radio doesn't have a lot of opportunity to get too hurt unless you're working with antennas and high power and moving things around in a soggy field. You can get hurt, and I think we have a real good record of not getting hurt for the most part. And a safety officer can be a huge boon to, as I said just a few minutes ago, helping all the field day site members learn a little bit about what they're doing and how they're doing it and why they're doing it, especially if you're working on antennas. Because with amateur radio, when people get hurt, probably 90% of the time it's with antennas.
Yeah, and staying away from the power lines and those sorts of things. So give a second and third thought to that.
Exactly.
Also got Whiskey 0 Charlie Juliet, Colin getting ready for field day, and Victor Kilo 3 Fox Tango Juliet Sierra. Good morning from Melbourne, Australia. The sun isn't even up there yet, Tom, and they're on from Australia. And always good to have Australia in the log. And just installed a log antenna for the weekend. Looking forward to it. Kilo Golf 0 Mike Whiskey. Kilo 8 Yankee Quebec will be doing his first field day, even though he's been licensed since '98. And you're going to have a blast. And let's see, we've got Kilo 4 Yankee Juliet and VK3 FTJS says it's 6:17 a.m. over there in Australia. Well, Tom, it's been great having you on today. Thank you so much for your service as section manager in the great state of Ohio, and all the things you do for PCARs and all the clubs and amateur radio operators in Ohio. And of course, you and Scott Yonley and Dale, just a great team representing the ARRL in Ohio and the Great Lakes area. Thanks so much for everything you do, Tom.
Well, thank you, Tim. I appreciate those kind words. And I do have to turn it back around and say, having DX Engineering as a member of our state and the amateur radio community in our state, we certainly appreciate all that you, DX Engineering, and all your employees do for the hobby, not only for us, but throughout the world. You guys do a lot, and we appreciate it.
Well, we're happy to be here. And as you know, Tom, and as was published in QST in July by Wayne and Amy, this is the greatest hobby in the world. And so it's absolutely a good deal. So K1 Quebec X-Ray is in the chat, and always great to see you, Craig. And everybody go out on field day, have fun, make QSOs, or stay at home and get on the air and work the field day stations. The idea is just to have fun with this great hobby. And we'll see everybody next Tuesday for Tuesdays with Tim and Jeff. Until then, 73 from WB8LCD and K3LR and DX Engineering.
7-3.